Hello everyone, welcome to today's lecture. In this video we are going to learn about data analytics. So let's start. So data analytics is as the process of analyzing raw data to find the trends and answer the questions. The definition of data analytics captures its broad scope of the field. However, it includes many techniques with many different goals. So generally the data analytics is the field in which it is mostly used for any organization or to improve the business. Here we are using this concept to finding the useful and helpful information from lots of data, and for that one person is assigned, and it is called the data scientist. And in this field there are many tools are also available, and these tools are using the many data mining concepts, and by using that concept it generates a useful knowledge that we discussed from our chapter number 1, that the main task of mining the data is only by analyzing the data will generate the knowledge, useful knowledge that helps in our business. So that is mainly goal of any data analytics system. The data analytics process has some key components that are needed for any initiative. By combining these components, a successful data analytics initiative will provide a clear pictures of where you are, where you have been, and where you should go. So mainly data analytics is used for answering those questions like where you are currently, where you have been, and where you should go. So it suggests it provides some suggestion, and by using that suggestion will make a move which is better for our organization. Also it also say that what is the current situation at the organization, what is the past situation, and what is your next move for improve our performance. So that is why mostly the big organization uses the data analytics for their incremental performance. Now the next is data analytics lifecycle. So there are several phases of data analytics lifecycle. So the data analytics lifecycle mainly consists of these 6 steps. First is a business requirements, then data acquisition, then third is a data processing, fourth is a data exploration, fifth is a data modeling, and the last stage is a deployment. So let's understand each stage in detail. So the first is a business requirements. So before you can even start on a data science project, it is critical that you understand the problem you are trying to solve. In this stage, you should also be identifying the central objective of your project by identifying the variables that needs to be predicted. So let's understand it with one example. Suppose you want to build a website. Suppose you want to build any e-commerce website. So before we'll start implementing that website, first we need to understand the problem what we are implementing. So we need to understand that which functionality is included in the e-commerce website, which structure we need to follow. So for any kinds of implementation, first we need to understand the problem. Suppose there is a one maths problem, so on that also we need to understand the problem. We need to think the technique and then we can apply. So for same as in the data analytics, suppose you want to predict some variable, so in that also first we need to understand the requirement, business requirement, that on which variable we are working, which I want to predict, and what data I have. And after analyzing the whole problem of prediction, then we can start our prediction in that In this stage, we need to understand which tool it is suitable for our problem, which technique is more appropriate for our type of problem. So that all the things we need to understand in this stage. So in the business requirement, we are understanding the problem, what we want to do. So can simply say that in this stage we will understand that what we want to do. So that is the first stage, which is a business requirements. The second stage is a data acquisition. Now we know that I want to build some website. Now second thing is, what is the data sets? Yes, suppose I want to predict the sales of my shop. So for that, now I know that I want to predict the sales. So for that, now I need some data. So for that, we need to acquisite that data. We need to gather all types of data. So for that, the second stage is a data acquisition. Now that you have defined the objective of your projects, now it's time to start the gathering the data. Data mining is the process of gathering your data from different sources. It may be internet, it may be physical files, flat files, yes, anything. This stage, some of the question worth considering are: what data do I need for my project? Where do it lie? How can I obtain it? What is the most effective way to store and access all of it? So these are some questions that these are some questions we need to answer that question to get the data. First is, what is the data source, from where my data comes? So that is the first question. After deciding that, now where I can store that data. So now you can decide the database, on which database you want to save the data. If you want to use a data warehouse, or if you want to use an OLAP, or if you want to use a data mart, yes, that needs to be decided in this stage. This database related activities. So two main things is done in this stage. Is first is gathering the data, and second is storing that data. Now the third is data processing. Also we can say that it is a data cleaning. So now we have a data in our database. If all the data necessary for the project is packed and handed to you, then you have won the lottery. Usually finding the right data takes both time and efforts. And suppose you are a data scientist and someone tells you that this is the data and you need to analyze the data. So this is a very easy task for that data analysis, because data is already there. So we are not wasting our time for gathering the data. We just putting our times on analyzing parts. So this is a very difficult task. So after gathering the data, we move on the most time consuming steps of all cleaning and preparing of the data. So the most time consuming step is a data cleaning. And why we need to do this? Because the reason why this is such a time consuming process is simply because there are so many possible scenarios that could necessitate a cleaning. For example, a data could have multiple inconsistencies. Inconsistencies means missing values, the unnecessary data, duplicate values. Yes. So we need to remove that unnecessary, inconsistent data from our database, because this may lead to a wrong prediction. So that is why the data cleaning is a very important stage for any analysis task. Now next stage is a data exploration. After data cleaning, now our data set is ready to analyze. So now that you have got a sparkling clean sets of data, you are ready to finally get started in your analysis. So the data exploration stage is like a brainstorming of data analysis. This is where you understand the patterns in your data and retrieve all the useful insights from the data. So now you can compare the situations like suppose someone gives you one maths problem. So after understanding the problem, you start solving that problem. So in that stage, you are doing a brainstorming. Yes, so same thing for analyzing the data, we have to do some brainstorming. So here in this stage we are doing this. This is where you understand the patterns in your data and retrieve all the useful insights from the data. After some brainstorming, we can understand the patterns generated in the data and we are retrieving. We'll get that pattern, so we are quickly retrieve that useful information from the data. So with all this useful information, you start to form a hypothesis about your data and the problem you are tackling. Suppose, for example, if you are predicting a student's scores, you could try visualizing the relationship between scores and sleep. Yes, suppose you are predicting scores of each and every student. Now you have some data, and after some brainstormings, you finally get that student scores depends on its sleep. So now you get the relationship in the data that student who sleeps 6 hours is getting more scores, and student who are sleeping 8 to 9 hours are getting low scores. Also students are sleeping for only 3 to 4 hours also has a low score. So this is how you can find the patterns from data. Now fifth stage is a data modeling. Now you need to train, because we are not doing it manually. We have to do this via some machine learning algorithms or some data mining techniques or in a ready-made tool. There are three main tasks addressed in this stage. Create data features from the data that you process to carry out model training. Model training is basically about finding the model that answers the questions accurately. We know that what is the pattern in the data. Now what we want that this pattern can understand by the model, so the model or the machine can answer the questions most accurately or correctly. So the process for model training involves a lot of steps and iterations. So first is split the input data randomly for modeling into a training data sets and test data sets. So for any types of model training, we have mainly two data sets, training data sets and testing data sets. So suppose we have 100% data available at our place. Now we need to split the data, like 75% data goes in training and 25 in testing, or you can choose 70 into training and 30 into testing. So in this stage, for any training, you need to split your data, build the models by using the training data sets. Now you will train the model. Now you will evaluate the training by applying the test set. After the training the data, now you will apply the test data on that model to check that our model is properly trained or not. And fourth is determine the best solution to the answer the question by comparing the success metrics between alternative methods. Now at fourth stage you are generating the results, and the fifth stage is determine if your model is suitable for the production. Now your model is ready. Now you will apply your prediction data on that model and check that your data model is and check that your data model is suitable for your production or not. And the last stage is a deployment. If your data model is suitable for your problem, you will apply your data on that model and find the prediction. The goal of the deployment stage is to deploy the model into a production or production-like environment or a final user acceptance. The user must validate the performance of the model. If there are any issues with the model, then they must be fixed in this stage. So after deployment on a model on some machines, now user test that model by applying a multiple inputs, and if some errors generated, So that is fixed in this, that is fixed by data scientists in this stage. So that is all about the data analytics life cycle. So that's it. Thank you so much.